I'd like to invite Dr. Alfred Dixon, who is the Director for Development and Delivery at IETA, and currently the country rep for IETA, to join the high table. So, next to him, I'd like to call to the high table Lawrence Kent from the Gates Foundation, please to join after them sits on the high table also. While I try to give a preamble, I would like to invite Dr. Alfred Dixon, the Director for Development and Delivery, to come and give the welcome remarks. Please, a round of applause to Alfred.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, the Deputy Minister of the same ministry, heads of parastatals, all government officials, Directors General of international and national agricultural research institutions, the Director for Agriculture and Agro-Industry of the African Development Bank, who will be joining us online, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. Greetings from the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. And it gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this very important seed summit with the theme Building a Roadmap for a Seed Sector Transformation. It is also my desire to let you know that this topic is germane as the world is at a crossroad with our food systems challenged on every side, from the vagaries of climate change, increasing population, and new pests and diseases, etc. Let me say that developing the seed sector is the nucleus of any agricultural transformation, and it cannot be different for Sierra Leone as we are developing implementation plans of the Seed Salad flagship program. Ladies and gentlemen, let me intercept here to say that I just lost one of the eyes of my glasses. So I'm managing. The Maiden Seed Business Summit is being organized jointly by the Building an Economically Sustainable and Integrated Seed System Project, BASICS, and the Technology for African Agricultural Transformation TAAT program, both executed by IITA, as well as the Sahel Consulting Company, the Sasakawa Africa Association, the Mennonite Economic Development Associates, and the government of Sierra Leone. The coalition of partners have found it necessary to work with the government of Sierra Leone through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to revive the national seed industry as the first and foremost step to upscale cutting-edge technologies. The organizers of the summit have carefully handpicked the panelists, keynote speaker, and planned breakout sessions of the summit to provide opportunities to x-ray the current state of the seed sector versus the desired state with regard to the three key pillars that drive agricultural transformation: inputs, seeds, and research. The summit will elevate the voices of different value chain actors for rice, cassava, maize, and soybean seed systems and draw lessons from Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, DR Congo, and Rwanda, countries that have started implementing formal seed systems resulting in positive impact on resource-constrained farmers. The summit will promote a platform for sharing models, success stories, accomplishments, and challenges, and how we can leverage resources to develop a strong and viable formal seed system. In closing, there is one point that we must deliver on to consider the summit successful. Just as Lord Waters said, and I quote, "A school is a building with four walls, with tomorrow inside." Today, let us see the Seed Summit as a three-day school within whose walls the agricultural landscape of our nation will be reshaped back as we target to have a roadmap on economically sustainable seed system for Sierra Leone. We must produce food in ways that create wealth. Let's start by fixing the seed system for the agricultural transformation of the country to ensure food sovereignty rather than food security. Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming. Please feel free to network, meet, and greet. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alfred Dixon. Please a round of applause to him once again. I think the core message that he has for all of us is that this is not just one of those meetings to come and discuss, but a meeting that we aim to have a roadmap that we chart the way forward for agricultural transformation for Sierra Leone. Thank you so much for your kind words. The Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to make a bit of an adjustment on the program by inviting Martin Fregene, who is on the line, to speak to us briefly before we take Lawrence Kent and continue in that order.
The technical advisor for basics project also representative of IIT in Sierra Leone, Dr. Alfred Dixon, Director General of SLARI, Director General of SLESCA, country managers, farmer group representatives, CEOs of private companies, TAAT and basic teams, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I wish I was with you today in Freetown. Actually, I had planned to be with you today in Freetown, but this week is hunger. And then both our president and vice president are in hunger, and then some of us have to at least represent them back here at headquarters. But I bring you greetings from the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akuma Kadishino, and his entire staff. We also greet the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency Dr. Julius Madabio, the people of Sierra Leone, and the organizer of the SIT2 Summit. It's our pleasure to join you at this summit and also to express our continued support for the Republic of Sierra Leone's Feed Saro program. In January this year, Sierra Leone held a boardroom on food and agriculture delivery compact, and there the bank expressed its unqualified support to Sierra Leone. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the bank, I wish to express our support for the SIT program in Sierra Leone. We all know that seed is the engine for any agricultural transformation. Without seeds, there's no way any country can increase productivity and transform agriculture from a subsistence sector into a strong business and also engine for rural development. The bank has a number of investments in Sierra Leone, including a rice agro-industrial cluster, a project of $12 million to develop capacity for production and supply of quality inputs, especially rice seeds, and support land and water development. We also have another project called the Agribusiness and Rice Value Chain Support Program, or SLARIS.
Recording in progress.
Which is supposed to help on the acquisition of seeds and fertilizers to combat the impact of COVID-19 and the Russian and Ukraine war. We also have given special assistance to Sierra Leone with $300,000 to give seeds and fertilizers to farmers in support of immediate food production. But more importantly, the bank is supporting Sierra Leone with an agricultural delivery compact on rice, soybean, maize, and cassava production to improve the productivity and also to improve production of our commodities, poultry, and livestock. And we estimate that the budget for all this will be about $410 million, part of which will come from the regional operation and others come from national operation. Our technologies for African agricultural transformation, a flagship of the AFDB, is also supporting Sierra Leone, particularly the research centers and the seed companies on seed production. Since its inception, TAAT has provided technical assistance to many of our AFDB-funded projects and also provided assistance to seed companies and also to research centers on early generation seed production and also production of certified seed. We have also provided support on policy, especially domesticating regional policies, harmonizing regional policies with the national policies on seeds and other key inputs. We are happy to announce that cassava is one of our key commodities in TAAT, along with other ones like rice, wheat, soybean, and we have continued to support Sierra Leone, even with investments in the cassava sector. TAAT is capitalizing on the fact that African nations have a very low percentage of farmers that use improved seeds and the best available technologies. We really want our farmers to avail our farmers of the best possible technologies so they can improve their productivity and our country can feed themselves. TAAT and Basics brings their rich experience to intensify technology development and adoption in Sierra Leone to improve productivity of the major commodities such as rice, maize, and cassava and soybean. It's important to reduce the imports of these basic food items and to create opportunities in the rural areas to produce and to replace these imported items as a way of providing employment for young people and for women. In line with the Sierra Leone Country Compact that I mentioned from the Jakarta Summit, is actually focusing on improving productivity through delivery of seeds and fertilizer to farmers, as has been discussed today. The current seed summit being organized with special focus on seed and planting material is a key entry point to the Sierra Leone Country Compact. I congratulate the government of Sierra Leone for such a laudable vision to organize the seed summit, and I think this is a significant step towards achieving the government's Feed Salon initiative. TAAT and Basics, find this priority aligned with its own priorities, and we definitely will be supporting with resources and also with technical assistance. I wish you happy deliberation and fruitful outcomes for the summit, and I look forward to engaging with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Honorable Musa Paka, on implementation of the government's agenda of feed salon. Thank you very much, and I wish you a blessed day and God's blessings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Martin Fregene, for your remarks, where you emphasize that seeds are actually the engine for agricultural transformation, and you also played the continued support of the bank, TAAT, basics, to what Sierra Leone is doing, particularly in agricultural transformation. We will move quickly to invite Lawrence Kent, who is the Senior Program Officer with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to come and give us some of his remarks about what we are doing here. A round of applause to him.
%. Remember that number. We'll come back to it in a minute. 81%. But first, of course, we have to follow appropriate protocol and acknowledge the presence of the minister. The Honorable Minister has been a friend of mine for over 12 years, and I'm very happy to see him again for the first time in a long time in a much more elevated position than the last time I saw him. Also like to acknowledge the protocol for all the other honorable members of the High Table. We appreciate very much the opportunity to dialogue with you about this opportunity to improve seed systems here in Sierra Leone. I'd really like to focus on cassava. That's the crop that I'm probably most familiar with. And at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we invest a lot in attempts to improve cassava productivity for smallholder farmers here in Africa. And so over the years, I've learned something from our grantees, our partners in East and West Africa, about what works and what doesn't work in terms of investments to improve cassava productivity. I flew here yesterday from Tanzania. And in Tanzania, I spent a week traveling around, visiting with cassava seed entrepreneurs, something that really didn't exist 15 years ago. But through our partners in Tanzania, there are now 700 small businesses that produce and sell high-quality cassava stems to other farmers. And they are connected to early generation seed systems that start in the Ministry of Agriculture, in the Tanzanian Agricultural Research Institute. They identify high-yielding varieties, they ensure they're virus-free, and they produce modest amounts of planting material, which they then sell to the cassava seed entrepreneurs who multiply it further and sell it to farmers. And this has turned out to be a wonderful way to get high-quality planting material of new varieties into the hands of Tanzanian farmers. And this is where the 81% comes back to the story. Because with the help of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture and the local NGO called NIDA, they've studied what has been the impact. They have found that farmers who purchase cassava planting material from cassava seed entrepreneurs achieve yields that are 81% higher than farmers who simply save seeds. Why? Because the material they buy from cassava seed entrepreneurs are disease-free, virus-free, true to type, good varieties. And they've seen in practice this makes a huge difference in terms of the yields and the profitability. A very similar system has been developed and tested in Nigeria over the last 10 years. And I believe there's over 500 cassava seed entrepreneurs now operating throughout Nigeria with a high concentration in Benue State. These cassava entrepreneurs are small entrepreneurs that are receiving high-quality planting material from foundation seed entities, multiplying it and selling it to other farmers. And again, when farmers buy the best varieties that are clean from these cassava seed entrepreneurs in Nigeria, they see their yields and profitability go up. It's taken a while to work out the kinks in the system to make sure that the material starts with the breeders, is then rapidly turned into foundation seed, and then sold to these cassava seed entrepreneurs. But the system has worked so well so far that countries are beginning to copy the system. And so you see Kenya is trying to copy what was achieved in Tanzania. So is Rwanda. Congo the same. And there's other countries like Angola and Gabon that are interested in replicating this system. It starts with the best breeds, the best varieties, but then it uses this special technology called semi-autotrophic hydroponic system, SAH. And that has turned out to be a system to rapidly multiply cassava planting materials, little plantlets, but thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of them can be produced in a screenhouse. And we've seen this probably most beautifully in Ibadan, Nigeria, under the leadership of IITA, in particular Mercy, who's here with us, who manages a very successful operation there, multiplying large amounts of high-quality, clean planting material that then goes to foundation seed multipliers and eventually to these over 500 cassava seed entrepreneurs. This has turned out to be a great avenue to get high-quality planting material into farmers' hands, not just one time. No, this is not just a giveaway or campaign where you give a man to fish and then you walk away. This is a system that is durable and it's sustainable because it's profitable. The cassava seed entrepreneurs make money when they sell planting material to other farmers. Farmers make money when they buy that planting material because their yields go up, in the case of Tanzania, by 81%. And then the foundation seed entities, such as the one that is managed by Mercy in Ibadan, also is making money as well. I believe certain years you've sold over $300,000 worth of early generation planting material, which then really gets the system working, something that's economically sustainable. So I see this great opportunity here in Sierra Leone with the availability of some funding support through the TAAT and the African Development Bank, co-investing with the government of Sierra Leone to create a Sierra Leonean version of these success stories right here, so that on a sustainable basis, Sierra Leonean cassava farmers can have access to clean planting material of the best varieties. And here in Sierra Leone, we can see their yields go up by 82%, let's say. Thank you all very much.
A round of applause again to Lawrence. I think Sierra Leone should aim for 100%, not 82%. And you know why? When I went to the FAO SAT to look at the yield in Sierra Leone, it's actually one of the highest in Africa. So 100% is possible. They just need to adopt the basics model. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for those remarks and presenting to us what is doable and how seed systems can actually become economically sustainable in Sierra Leone. We need to have a story to tell coming from Sierra Leone. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to invite Dr. Kenton Bashir, who is going to speak on behalf of the Director General, Simeon Hui, who is unavoidably absent. Please let's encourage Dr. Kenton Bashir as he comes over.
Yeah, thank you very much, Godwin. The DG of IITA, Dr. Simeon Ewe, couldn't be here today, but he asked me to tell you or convey the message to you that he's actually in Washington, D.C., lobbying on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone with the World Bank. And he told me that the number one country that IITA will be supporting in his new tenure as DG is Sierra Leone. And so he thought it was more important that he travel to Washington and take on this assignment, but he will be coming to Sierra Leone very soon to meet with the government and other officials, so you can be expecting his visit. I would like to recognize the most important people in this room, and that is the farmers. And yes, Madam, I know I missed your name, but I know you're representing a farmer group. You are very welcome. Yeah. I also need to recognize the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. And I'm sorry I missed that, because the food security is so important. We're not just planting crops and raising animals, we're working towards food security for the country. And we're so happy that you came with your Deputy Minister and your Permanent Secretary. You're all very welcome, and we thank you for being here. Dr. Martin Fergene, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence and your strong support for the seed systems here in Sierra Leone. Dr. Lawrence Kent, thank you very much for those inspiring comments that you just gave us. And for those of you who don't know Dr. Lawrence Kent, even though he holds an American passport, he's actually a son of Africa. He has devoted almost all his whole life to agriculture here in Africa, and honestly, he has a more in-depth knowledge of the farmers than many of us that live here in Africa. So, Lawrence, we thank you very much for your presence and for being part of our team. Dr. Babacar Mane, the DG of Africa Rice, I would say the new DG of Africa Rice, you are very welcome. And we do acknowledge that rice is the most important crop in Sierra Leone. And I'm sure that under your leadership, Africa Rice is going to do even more great things than has ever been done before here in Sierra Leone. So thank you very much for being with us. And I could go on and on, but still there's one person I can't skip over, and that's Chief Dr. Alfred Dixon. I'm sure everybody in the room knows him very, very well. You know, he is a director at IITA, the Director of Development and Delivery. But some people, they hold, how would you call it? They hold prestige, they hold authority because of their knowledge and their experience and their ability to get along with people. Sometimes I think Alfred Dixon has more power than the Director General of IITA. The way he influences people and just drives IITA. He makes sure we're going in the right direction. Let me put it that way. So Alfred, thank you very much for being here. Of course, I knew you'd be here. That was obvious. But yeah, thank you for everything you do, not only in Sierra Leone, but all across Africa. Now, just a few comments about why we are here. You know, to make progress on anything, there must be the political will in a country. And my understanding is that at the highest level in Sierra Leone, the political will is absolutely guaranteed. Am I right? Okay, then I don't have to worry about that one. That one is there. And I believe you, because people have been telling me that already, and I've been reading some things about the policies of the government, so that is very good. So political will means more than talking. It means more than giving speeches, but it means policies. Again, my understanding is that most of the policies are in line for agriculture in Sierra Leone. I'm sure there can be ways to improve it, and I anticipate that the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, because he studied under probably the most senior authority in ag economics, Dr. Victor Magnon, Honorable Minister, I suspect you must be also a world authority in policy. So I think we're in good hands. Of course, after policy, well, then comes things like funding, budgets, and all of that. But even with all of those things I just mentioned above, what is next is to have a plan of action. And in agriculture, one segment of that plan is to have a seed system. And of course, that's why we're here for the next 2 days. We've put together a group of people that we believe are the best in the whole world to come together and develop a roadmap or a plan for seed systems on rice, maize, cassava, and soybean in Sierra Leone. So my point is, because you're in this room today, it means that you have a voice, an important voice, and we want to make sure that that voice is heard. So as we go through the next 2 days of speeches, of breakout groups, of putting a plan together, please make sure your voice is heard. Okay? We have some people that know Sierra Leone very well, and I'm looking at them. You know your country better than anybody. And no matter what people like me or who else, George, the DG of Africa Rice, those of us that don't live and breathe and work here in Sierra Leone every day, we have some knowledge, we have some experience, but we don't know your country. So what I'm trying to say is let's all work together. Let's use the experts that have had some successes and failures with seed systems in other countries, and our colleagues from Sierra Leone work together to make the best action plan we can do. I have to, I'm going to go back on what Lawrence said just a few minutes ago. For the seed system to work, the private sector will do the bulk of the work. Let's just put it that way. The private sector, the farmers, will be the one multiplying the seeds of these 4 crops. And they are the private sector. But the point that Lawrence made, and that I also want to make, is the private sector is in the seed business to make money. And if they don't make money, they will not do the business. So we need to make sure that every step of the supply chain to produce and market seed needs to be profitable. And of course, the number one that has to be profitable is the farmer. If the farmer is going to spend money to purchase seed, let's make sure they get that 81% or better from what Lawrence told us. Let's go for 100% in Sierra Leone, so that the farmers will be encouraged to buy that high-quality seed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me just a minute to give some of my ideas, and I wish all of us great success.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kenton Bashir, for reiterating IITA's support to Sierra Leone, but also reiterating the fact that we need to aim for 100% for Sierra Leone when it comes to yield. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on this continent, I think 3 institutions are very key. One is IITA, the second Africa Rice and ERI, because one deals with rice and the other deals with livestock. All of these are very important. Sometimes people can contest that. Maybe Africa Rice is number 1, IITA is the first. It depends on which divide you look at. But permit me to invite the DG of Africa Rice, Dr. Bobakar Mane, to come and give his opening remarks. A round of applause for him.
Thank you very much for the very touching introduction. Honorable Minister, before I start my speech, I want to just correct my colleague Ken Dashil when he cited me as one of the people who don't know that much Sierra Leone. I studied in Sierra Leone for my BSc at Njala University College. So since we are talking about seed systems, we say seed systems are the foundation of all successful agricultural systems. So for me to be here today as DG of Africa Rice, I could say it was all thanks to Njala University College. So thank you, sir. Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Musat Parker, together with the Permanent Secretary and the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, the Deputy Director General of IITA, my own good friend, Dr. Ken Dashil, representing my big brother, Simeon Ihiwe, who is not here today with us. The IITA representative in Sierra Leone, Dr. Alfred Dixon, the DG of SLARI, my own big brother, and also Director of Research and Innovation for Africa Rice, Dr. Abdullah Jallo, here with us. Representatives of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Dr. Lawrence Kent and Dr. George Bigriwa, and also other funding agencies here present and those not with us, African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, the World Bank, and then the USAID. Representatives of the Farmers Association, which as Ken rightly mentioned, are the most important component. We are all here thanks to the farmers. And the representatives of the Diplomatic Corps, directors of different line departments of government ministries present, heads and representatives of partner organizations, colleagues from Africa Rice, IITA, and other CG centers. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the staff and board of Africa Rice Center, good morning. As I mentioned, when you talk about any successful agricultural venture, you need to have a very strong seed system at the base. That's the reason why this gathering is of utmost importance. And unfortunately, for many African countries, Sierra Leone included, our seed systems are not so strong. So that's the reason why it's very, very important for us to have such a, what we call deep dives, come together and look at really what is not happening, what is not working, so that we can try to come up with those innovative ideas that will make our seed systems work in a matter that we'll be able to have the full transformation of our food systems. As you know, unfortunately, at the moment, we do not have time in the African continent, because when we had the COVID-19, we've seen the impact it had on our very weak food systems. The Russo-Ukrainian war exposed us further. And recently, for those of us who really are depending on rice as a major staple, when India declared a ban on non-basmati rice, it created a panic in many African countries. Because out of the 15 million tons of rice Africa is importing every year, 11 million tons is coming out of India. So you can imagine how unsafe that is for the continent. That's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important really for us to try to come up with those ideas that can allow us to transform our food systems and attain what we call food and nutrition security, but also food sovereignty, as was mentioned by one of my earlier speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Technologies for Africa Agricultural Transformation TAAT program, funded by the AFGB and being implemented by a consortium of 13 international agricultural research institutions led by IITA, is a model program showcasing a laudable collaborative approach which is transforming African food systems whilst improving livelihoods of farmers. Over the past 4 years, the TAAT Rice Compact led by Africa Rice has vigorously worked with governments and the private sector to multiply and deploy seeds of high-yielding, climate-smart and market-oriented varieties, including hybrids, to improve rice production in farmers' fields. Seed enterprises in 15 African countries have benefited from the TAAT Rice Compact seed deployment activities. And presently, as we stand, we have about 2.5 million smallholder farmers who are expected to cultivate rice seeds from this Rice Compact of the TAAT, and then which could lead to a reduction of the import bill by 1.5 billion.
So this definitely is one example of a program that has worked. So that's the reason why it's very important for programs like TAAT for us to try to outscale such programs so that we can attain food security in the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, this Seed Business Summit is jointly organized by the Building an Economically Sustainable and Integrated Cassava Seed System Basics 2 project, and the TAAT program is quite timely. And I look forward to having very lively discussions to identify the major challenges, propose solutions, and then identify investment opportunities and develop measurable and time-bound indicators of progress. As was mentioned rightly at the beginning of the summit here, it's good to have meetings. It's good to have strategies. But if at all we do not measure our progress towards our targets, quite often we will never get there. This is the reason why it's important when we have such important gatherings of highly qualified people, we need to make sure that whatever objective we set down, there have to be, the deliverables need to be identified, and we have to identify when will those deliverables be, will they be delivered, and who is going to deliver what, and what quantities will be delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude by thanking all of you for your attention and express my gratitude to the government of Sierra Leone, to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Henry Musa Pakpa, who is also a member of the Africa Rice Council of Ministers. As I was rightly mentioned by Ken here, Africa Rice actually is very peculiar within the CBR system in that it was formed by African countries, one of which was Sierra Leone. In 1971, these African countries came together to create this body so that the body can guide the different countries and work with them to attain food security, particularly through the rice self-sufficiency. Unfortunately, up to this moment, it's an elusive goal. But with my mandate, that's really my big target, to try to work with the countries and identify what can we do together, which we have not done before, so that we can really attain rice self-sufficiency on the continent. It is achievable. Presently, as we speak, Sierra Leone is at around 65% rice self-sufficiency. But I remember when I was having my studies in Njala, in the Boli lands, farmers will harvest rice. Before the next season, they couldn't even clear the Boli land. They had to burn the rice. So those days are always ingrained in my memory. Sierra Leone had so much rice during those days, it was having a surplus. And that's not very far. I'm not so old. So definitely, I think those are things that definitely we should not forget. That really, in the very recent past, we are almost burning rice so that we can cultivate rice again. And now we are only at 65% self-sufficiency. The resources are there. We can achieve them. With that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I wish all of us a very successful summit. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause again to the DG Africa Rice. Thank you so much, the DG. And I think he has opened the way, he has opened his mind to the Honorable Minister. What can we do together to achieve self-sufficiency in rice? I think this is one question that we need to answer as we convene here for the next 2-3 days. What can we do together to achieve self-sufficiency? Not just in rice, but also the other key crops. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with that, we move quickly to invite AGRA, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. And permit me to invite the Vice President, Dr. George Bigirwa, to come and give us some opening remarks on how AGRA looks at this conference or this summit, and what we need to do in order to have food sovereignty now. A round of applause for him, please.
Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, all protocol observed. I bring you greetings from the AGRA President, who would have wished to be here in person, but because of the conference going on in New York, she requested me to represent her and express gratitude for inviting AGRA to participate in this very important meeting. I'm going to differ a bit from my colleagues and share a few insights on seeds in Sierra Leone. I request you to look at the screen, and my other colleagues have already talked about one thing, and there was one thread which has been running all through. Everyone was talking about seed system. Let's go to the next slide. Now, when we talk about seed system, there's a tendency for some people to just focus on a few components. First of all, it is important to understand what constitutes a seed system. A normal seed system has got about 8 components, right from breeding, variety release and maintenance. Once the varieties have been released, they must be maintained, and from there, you must produce early generation seed, from which you need to produce certified seed. And once certified seed is produced, there's need to create awareness among farmers who are the end users. Otherwise, if they are not aware, there will be no demand. They will not grow them. And once seed is produced, there's need to have a distribution mechanism. How do farmers access that seed which has been produced? How is it certified? Is it of good quality? Is there a mechanism to really plan at country level how much seed to produce, what variety, what quantity, where, and where it should be going? And all that evolves under policy. There must be a conducive policy environment in any given country if the seed system is going to thrive. Now, what happens in some countries, you only find about a few components operational. You may have a strong research system, breeding, releasing varieties, but the production component is weak. And that's why you end up failing to have seed being produced of those good novel varieties with the special traits. And at times, when even varieties are being produced, can you imagine if you produce seed and there's no mechanism to distribute it, to make it available to the farmers? Can you imagine if you've got a strong production system in the country, but then the quality of seed is wanting? Maybe that seed is of poor quality. It is counterfeit. It is fake. If there is no strong mechanism in place to control the quality. So that's why it is important when we are talking about a seed system to look at all those components. They must all be functional. They must be operational. And under normal circumstances, each one, a seed system, each of those should be at 100%. Breeding should be at 100%. EGS should be at 100%. Production should be at 100%. Or at most, it should be at 75%. But in most of our countries, each one is maybe on the average, you get 40%, 30%, 50%. Next slide, please. AGRA is hosting the Center of Excellence for Seed System. We are calling CESA. And under this, we are going to work with the partners to offer a range of services. And one of them is analysis, assessment. You go into a given country. Before you begin providing services or fixing problems, you need to identify what the problem is. Is the problem in breeding? Is the problem in marketing? Is the problem in production? Where is the gap? So it is important to first analyze, identify the gaps, so that you come up with corrective measures. And we're able to do that using a tool we are calling Seed Assessment Tool. And thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has supported AGRA to establish a center of excellency and even pilot seed research in a number of countries. And we have done assessments in all AGRA 11 countries. We went beyond that and even conducted assessments in other countries, including Sierra Leone. So my next slide, I'm going to show you the results which we got when we carried out seed assessments in Sierra Leone, looking at the different components I've mentioned, the 9, the 8, right from breeding. We're able to see how is the breeding, the research system in Sierra Leone like. How is the production of early generation seeds in Sierra Leone? How about the production of certified seeds? How about farm awareness? How about the distribution of seed? How do farmers access seed in Sierra Leone? How is the quality control of seed in Sierra Leone? How is the policy environment? And how is the national planning and coordination of seed in Sierra Leone? Next slide, please. So, under normal circumstances, I said, each country, if it is having a functional seed system, should score 100%. Now, when we did assessments in Sierra Leone last year, this was a consultative process. We engaged the Farm Code Seed Systems Group. It came here in Sierra Leone, engaged different stakeholders in research, in government, in private sector, all those who are participating in a number of things. And these are the results they came up. On average, the seed system in Sierra Leone stands at 40.8%. Is that good? No, but it can be improved. And I'm sure if we all put our heads together here in the room and other partners, there is a room to improve the seed system and bring it maybe to 75% in the next few years and later on to 100% so that we can have an effective seed system in Sierra Leone to offer services to our farmers. Now, as you can see there, most of the scores are around 30, they're in 30s. If you look at the breeding, it's about 38%, 6%. Look at early generation seed, is at 32%. Commercial seed production is at 32%. It is only the policy and regulatory framework which is at 60. And thanks to the government for the policy environment and the commitment from the government. I think you can see that for yourself here. If in the room we can have the Honorable Minister, in the same room we can have the Deputy Minister, in the same room we can have the Permanent Secretary, I think that is a commitment. In that same vein, you can see in the room we have got different players from African Development Bank, IITA, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and all others. I think if we put our heads together, we can easily improve the seed system in Sierra Leone and be able to tap some of those good varieties from research, either from the national program or even from one seed centers, and then make that seed available to the farmers to have better production and food security. So I think the onus is on us. Let's put our heads together. Let's put our resources together. Let's forge partnerships. This is achievable and it can be done. And thank you.
Thank you so much, George. Let's encourage you not to take his seat. Thank you so much for the work that AGRA is doing, engagement with policymakers at a very high level, and also generating these kinds of evidence for us to see what is happening in the different countries. Thank you so much. But I think his parting words are, if we put our heads together, we can solve the problem relating to seed system. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we are going to call for goodwill messages, 1 minute each, so that we can come to, we will listen to the Honorable Minister. In the House, let me check, do we have a representative of the Islamic Development Bank in the House? Maybe a hand? No. Do we have a representative of USAID in the House? Next. Do we have a representative of World Bank? What about IFAD? Okay, so we invite Mrs. Yata Sama, a farmer group, to come and give us a goodwill message. Please let's encourage Mrs. Yata.
Good morning. Today, farmers are not here to make statements. We are here to give a goodwill message from our farmers. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers of Government, international financial institution partners, our most distinguished scientists, professional and technical staff of math, the Fourth Estate, my noble farmers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly honored to stand before you today on behalf of the National Federation of Farmers of Sierra Leone, representing the voices and aspirations of the hardworking farmers in our nation. The Seed Business Summit, with its theme of building a roadmap for seed transformation, could not have come at a more crucial and opportune moment. This summit provides a platform where we can collectively address the challenges that have been inhibiting our farmers from competing effectively in the global market. Sierra Leone's agricultural sector has long been the backbone of our economy, providing sustenance and livelihoods to the significant portion of our population. However, it is undeniable that our farmers are facing numerous obstacles that hinder their ability to realize their full potential and contribute meaningfully to the nation's development. The most pressing of these issues is the struggle with low yield and productivity, which is directly linked with the quality of seeds we use in our farming practices. Low quality seeds have been a persistent challenge for Sierra Leonean farmers. These seeds not only result in subpar crop yields, but also perpetuate the cycle of poverty for our farmers. They face reduced income, food insecurity, and limited access to markets due to their inability to meet global quality and quantity standards. The consequences are not only felt at the individual level, but ripen throughout our entire agricultural ecosystem. The importance of addressing this issue cannot be overstated. The seed sector plays a pivotal role in agriculture, and improving it is crucial for achieving food security, poverty reduction, and economic growth. By investing in high-quality seeds and adopting modern farming techniques, we can significantly enhance our agricultural productivity. This, in turn, will empower our farmers to compete effectively in the global market, thereby improving their livelihoods and contributing to the overall development of Sierra Leone. Moreover, a robust seed sector is fundamental to climate resilience. With the increasing challenges posed by climate change, Our farmers need access to seeds that are adaptable to changing environmental conditions. Through research, innovation, and sustainable farming practices, we can develop and distribute climate-resilient seed varieties that will enable us to adapt to the evolving climate scenario. In conclusion, the Seed Business Summit is a pivotal step towards addressing the challenges that have been plaguing Sierra Leonean farmers for far too long. It provides a unique opportunity to build a roadmap for seed transformation that will empower our farmers, enhance our food security, and promote sustainable economic growth. As we embark on the journey, let us remember that the success of this endeavor requires collaboration and commitment from all stakeholders, including government, international financiers, institutions, policymakers, scientists, private sector, civil society, and farmers themselves. So clap for us. Together, we can usher in a new era of agricultural prosperity for Sierra Leone, where our farmers can proudly compete on the global stage and our nation can thrive. Thank you very much for your attention, and may this summit be the catalyst for a brighter future for our agricultural sector and our beloved Sierra Leone. Thank you for giving me an audience.
Please, let's clap for the farmers. Please, let's clap for them very well. Incidentally, they are the ones that feed us, so we need to clap for them very well so that we can have our lunch and tea break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Ernest Asiedo, who will be speaking on behalf of TAAT, to come and give us a keynote address. A round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My boss, Solomon, had a letter page, so I'm representing him on this podium. Honorable Mr. Dr. Henry Parker, Honorable Deputy Minister Dr. Teresa Dick, and Honorable Permanent Secretary. The list is long, so I'll say all protocols observed. Please pardon me if the list is very exhaustive. We must say that Africa can best feed itself. I mean, we can. I think from all the speeches we've had, let us all say that we can. We can. Let's say it loud, we can. Since yesterday up to this morning, it's been raining here. And Sierra Leone can have as much as 3,000 millimeters of rain or even more. And I know most of our countries can also have it along the coastal area of West Africa. So there's no reason why we can't feed ourselves. We should be able to feed ourselves. We're just coming from Tanzania. The United Arab Emirates was saying that we have 5% arable land, but we are self-sufficient in food production. I just bow down my head in distress. Yes, Africa can feed itself and transform its economy by targeting agriculture as a source of wealth and job creation. There is a positive link between agricultural productivity and economic growth and transformation. For African economies to grow and transform, agricultural productivity must increase. This is the key to improve the livelihood of its people, particularly the rural poor. Currently, Africa has the lowest productivity per capita in the world because farmers mostly lack access to improved good agronomic practices other key inputs and machinery that are needed for land preparation, crop production, harvesting, storage, etc. Seed is the means for delivering agricultural innovation. Seed itself is a package of is a hidden code. I always say seed is a hidden code containing a lot of information that it expresses itself in an ecosystem of a lot of partnerships and a lot of actions. Varieties and technologies to farmers are our drive. That's climate smart varieties that are high yielding, that are adapted more to our conditions, and then with very good quality seeds, are the entry point into agricultural productivity improvement. Seed defines the upper limit of what farmers can get. If farmers continue to use low yielding, unimproved varieties, no matter what we do and how much we invest, we will not improve productivity unless the foundation is right. That is when the seed is of good quality. Then the extension system and all what comes around it can contribute to productivity. Hence, the challenge of seed supply must be tackled to ensure availability, accessibility, affordability, and sustainability. The use of quality seeds and planting materials contributes close to about 40% to agricultural productivity. And together with fertilizers, the two contribute about 70%. The increased supply of quality certified seed and planting materials to farmers will boost crop productivity significantly. So it is our duty to make sure that we improve the seed systems to make quality seed available to our farmers. Similar to most of sub-Saharan African countries, Sierra Leone economy is predominantly agricultural based, with the sector providing about 64.5% of jobs for the population. In the rural area, where about 80% of the people get their livelihood from subsistence farming. In 2021, for example, the sector contributed about 57.4% of GDP and about 28% of export. The country is endowed with human capital and natural conditions to support rapid agricultural productivity growth. Farmers' adoption of improved technologies and practices remain low, as the pipeline that links research, release, and adoption of agricultural technologies remain broken. The use of fertilizer and other agrochemicals is suboptimal, and as such, productivity or yield is about 20 to 30% of attainable potential. Rice yield, for example, is about 2.1 tons per hectare here, compared to varieties developed by Africa rice that can give us between 8 to 10 tons per hectare. Even the hybrid is up to 14 tons per hectare. Similarly, maize yield is about 2.9 tons per hectare, as opposed to varieties that have been promoted by ITA, AATF, and others, which have a yield potential of about 8 tons per hectare. In cassava, Sierra Leone is doing well, and yesterday we were discussing it here. Sierra Leone yield is about 19 tons per hectare, which is above the continental average of 10 tons per hectare, but that was said by one of my predecessors. We can still do more because the potential of cassava is over 40 tons per hectare. So we can still do more over there. Let us look at the TAAT model, a proven partnership approach for delivering seeds of climate-smart varieties to millions of farmers in Africa. The Technology for Africa Agricultural Transformation, simply called TAAT, is a flagship program of the AFDB's Feed Africa strategy. The broad goal of TAAT is to double crop, livestock, and fish productivity by expanding access to productivity-increasing technologies to more than 40 million smallholder farmers across Africa. TAAT aims to generate an additional 120 million metric tons of food while lifting 130 million people out of poverty by 2025. The TAAT is executed by IITA and implemented by a consortium of 13 international agricultural research institutions, the Ministries of Agriculture and Finance, the National Agricultural Research System, the private sector, the farmer organizations, the regional economic communities, the sub-regional organizations, and other donor and agricultural sector stakeholders. The TAAT clearinghouse with its compacts contributes to the design of and the preparation of Africa Development Bank finance large-scale agricultural investment projects in the regional member countries by ensuring that relevant and cutting-edge production technologies are selected, integrated, and appropriate institutional and delivery infrastructure are built. The TAAT compacts also provide implementation support through providing technical assistance and building the capacity of national partners such as the NAS, the private sector, the farm organizations that are involved in the seed sector in the production of early generation seed, certified seed, etc. We also provide a TOT, that's training of the trainer, for extension agents and linking farmers to input and output markets for catalyzing the scaling and widespread adoption of impactful technologies in regional member countries. There is now momentum that Africa has what it takes to feed itself. Since its inception in 2018, TAAT, thanks to the financial support of AFDB, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and partners, TAAT has achieved incredible results. In just 3 years, TAAT has doubled productivity of many crops, especially wheat, maize, and rice, and benefited over 12 million farmers by catalyzing the delivery of climate-smart and productivity-enhancing improved seeds and farm practices at scale. For example, over 5.6 million households were benefited with drought-tolerant maize varieties in southern Africa, which helped to address the effect of drought in the region. The TAAT intervened in 2021-2022 to support slurry with 1.5 tons of beta seed and 30 tons of foundation seed of rice for further multiplication. TAAT also supported the country with certified seeds. The TAAT also supported the country to also develop its agricultural sector database by registering for the project of slurry about 13,851 households. The TAAT intervention with the slurry project in collaboration with the ISDF project contributed to agricultural productivity by increase in yield between 25 to 30% as compared to the farmer variety. The TAAT cassava compact has also rehabilitated and equipped slurry laboratory in Njala, equipped the laboratory with solar power and provided training to staff to maintain the laboratory and to produce cassava seed using the SAH technology. The cassava compact supported the establishment of seed farms in 7 communities, demonstrations on good agricultural practices, and revitalized the processing facilities belonging to the community associations who are producing very high-quality cassava flour, and other value-added products. The compact has established a register of cassava value chain actors in the country and developed partnerships for scaling cassava technologies. Basic 2. In the last 3 years, the building of economically sustainable cassava seed system has been achieved. Phase 2 has developed a model that connects actors in the seed value chain while ensuring that there is a constant supply of improved disease-free varieties to farmers, and at the same time guaranteeing sustainable and shared economic prosperity among the seed
sector actors. In Nigeria and Tanzania, for example, the basic model has led to the establishment of more than 1,000 seed entrepreneurs, double cassava yield, and created wealth among cassava farmers. Basic 2 is working closely with SLARI here in Sierra Leone to catalyze the model to the West African countries. The project builds the capacity of SLARI staff in early generation seed production and supported resource mobilization for the seed system. At this summit, Basic 2 will leverage its convergent power to bring all the key stakeholders to a round table to help Sierra Leone tap additional financing for its seed sector. TAAT and Basics will continue to support Sierra Leone to develop its medium to long-term seed roadmap to guide the production and supply of breeder seed, foundation seed, and certified seeds to meet the actual need demand through active involvement and technical assistance by the TAAT Policy Compact. TAAT and Basics will also support Sierra Leone through the cassava, rice, maize, and soybean compact to train research scientists in variety maintenance and breeder seed production, seed enterprises in foundation and certified seed production and marketing, research technicians and the private sector in the cassava SAH technology, and farmers in good agricultural practices. The TAAT-based technologies and innovations, including crop genetic materials, good agricultural practices, and post-harvest practices, coupled with digital tools for extension advice and strengthening the value chains and economic gains, which when adopted will, with favorable policy and market environment, can double the present production levels. To feed Sierra Leone, TAAT is extremely committed to work with the government and all key public and private sector partners towards improving access to locally adapted and quality certified seed of high-yielding varieties by small-scale farmers. In summary, seed system is not purely seed production per se, rather it's a system within the research, seed supply, and use continuum. Developing a robust and vibrant seed system with a clear seed roadmap that is well aligned with the country's strategy ensures the delivery of sufficient quantity of seeds of adequate quality at the right time, the right place, and affordable cost and in a sustainable way. This requires an integrated and holistic approach addressing the following key interventions. 1. To conduct a comprehensive seed assessment studies and identify key challenges by bringing together and engaging all concerned seed sector stakeholders. We're thankful to George and Agra for having initiated this process and have gone so far. So we will tap just about synergy and partnership means. We will tap into what they've already done. Then creating enabling environment with proactive policies addressing systemic bottlenecks on policy, regulatory, and institutional and technical constraints that hinder seed sector development consistent with the global seed industry. And I'll also add my voice to George and others that we are thankful to our honorable ministers and the permanent secretary for being here to listen to us. And we know the policy bottlenecks will soon be the thing of the past. Then harmonizing regulation and technical measures addressing variety release and protection, seed certification, seed sanity, phytosanitary, and measures such as plant quarantine, etc., and international seed trade. And to encourage private sector in seed production through appropriate policies and incentives, access to finance, access to markets. Then also support fast-track variety development, registration, release, and the accelerated seed modification systems, and build capacity of national programs for early generation seed production. Support private sector actors involved in certified seed production,
and improve access to finance for farmers to access quality seeds for higher yields and better income. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ernest. Please, let's give him a round of applause. He took us through what TAAT has done, BASIC has done, what it intends to do, and what it will yet do for Sierra Leone. With this, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister. Yes, I know that. After the Honorable Minister, then DG Slurry will give the vote of thanks. Let me invite the Honorable Minister, Dr. Henry Musa Baka, to come for his speech and to declare this summit open, and thereafter the DG Slurry will give a vote of thanks, and then we'll go for tea break. Honorable Minister, please.
Please be seated. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Colleague Minister, the Permanent Secretary, Director General of IITA, represented here by Dr. Kenda Shield, the Director General of Africa Rice, the VP from Agra, thank you for making the trip. When I was in Dar about a week and a half ago, I met with the President. I told her our vision. I said, we're doing this work. I said, seed system is key. She said, I invited her. She said, I wouldn't come, but I'll send the next best person. Thank you for being here today. My good friend, Lawrence from the Gates Foundation, thank you. It's good to see you. The farmer organizations here represented by my able friend, Yasasamai. The private sector people, there are quite a number of faces here that are in the sub space in this sector. Who am I missing? All protocols observed, and everybody else on the high table. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I am indeed very honored to be here this morning. Let me first of all convey the goodwill of His Excellency President Dr. Julius Madabio, who couldn't be here because he's also at ONGA, representing Sierra Leone and buying us more goodwill. When I was informed that this event was happening some 2-3 weeks ago, and I saw there was going to be a clash with ONGA, I was like, no, I wanted to be here because I will be in the midst of the foremost thinkers and doers in the space in seed systems for rice, cassava, maize, and soybeans. I have already learned quite a lot, and the next 2 days is about to be the best thing and the best decision for me to stay to be a part of this conversation. I also obviously didn't want to miss the opportunity to welcome my good friend Lawrence, who I haven't seen for 12 years. I hung out with a lot of your colleagues in Dar es Salaam, and it's good to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, the time that we're having here today is very crucial for what we want to do with transforming the agricultural sector, that end the feed salon program that the President has declared is his flagship for the next 5 years. As a net importer of food and other essential items, Sierra Leone is vulnerable to shocks, both climate, global macroeconomic conditions, and we've seen from the COVID disruptions and now the war, what that can do to a supply chain and how that can increase prices, cost of living. Responses from our traditional donors or partners, where policy response around exchange rates, interest rates have increased interest rates and reduced the value of our currency in Sierra Leone. It's made it really hard for us to buy basic things here for our people. And so we are at the whims of somebody deciding to close the border today, and that will increase the price of essential items that we so desperately need here. And food is just one of those. Sierra Leone imports quite a lot of things. And so if we're able to tackle the food issue, then we will really help ourselves. So it is against this backdrop that the President has decided that for the next 5 years, agriculture, improving and developing the food systems and boosting productivity is his main priority. This is not empty talk. This is the president that we have seen take on education when he made it his priority. He advocated for it. He put resources in it. And more importantly, he put his time towards making sure that there's progress. And we saw and we've seen that we've moved the needle on that front. So those of us that are in the food systems and agriculture space in Sierra Leone, this is a good period for us. This is a good thing, and we must capitalize on that. So I'm very delighted that we're having conversations like this morning. As I just mentioned, the potential is enormous in Sierra Leone. Everybody here has talked about it. Yet we have not been able to transform that into building the economy, into creating jobs for people, into feeding ourselves, and going back to those days where we used to be able to export food. The numbers estimate we import close to $500 million worth of food. Rice is a big part of that. We import quite a lot of onions. When I started this job, I very curious the onion situation at the crises of social media. So then I did some research, and I found in the last 36 months or so or less, we had imported close to about $34 million worth of onions. And the majority of that was from Netherlands, Belgium. These are monies coming from the pockets of people that live in Sierra Leone. And obviously, the macroeconomic implications for that, for our reserves, and how that impacts on our currency is huge. The same thing is happening with poultry products. Chicken and eggs, we continue to import a lot of those. Every year, it's jumping at exponential rates. So we have an agricultural system that contributes close to 55% to the GDP, but exports very minimal, less than 10%. The president's vision is to reduce this importation, develop some cash crop value chains so that we can boost export earnings, create jobs for women and youth in rural areas, and build resilience in our food system. Because the climate change phenomenon and the shocks that come with that is here to stay. We have to adapt, so resilience has to be a part of our program. Now, in the last 5 years, we did, when COVID struck, and even though the president was focused on education, but as part of his human capital development drive, there was some efforts that we pushed in agriculture. We prioritized very quickly, with support from some of the partners in the room, boosting productivity in rice. We piloted mechanization, where we had machine wings spread across the country, through the private sector to be able to quickly put more land under cultivation. We established a $10 million credit facility for private sector in the input crop space. This is seeds and fertilizer, to be able to access credit to bring this and supply to farmers that were vulnerable. We then established an e-voucher system. This is a way of bringing efficiency in how government had previously given inputs to smallholder farmers. This is part of, we had an e-extension system that was able to push and pull messages to smallholder farmers. It was part of these interventions were part of what we call the policy shift. But really what we were trying to do, and I think some of the numbers and how well we've done in the policy space, as my friend George from Agri has pointed on the policies, partly because we did this. We were in a system where year after year, businesses would want to start selling seeds or fertilizer, but then government will buy and wholesale sort of basically wipe them out of, the little profit they can make. So the policy shift was we wanted, yes, government will support vulnerable farmers, but it would do that through the private sector. And it was actually a really good program where, all government had to, all the Ministry of Agriculture had to do, identify farmers, link them with these private sector people, and then we give them vouchers that electronically they can go redeem those vouchers for seeds and fertilizer. The private sector people benefited from the credit facility so that they could bring that in, and there was already demand and market for them. This is the reason why we did that, because we wanted to clean the space. So I'm not surprised that that's one of the areas where we're doing quite well. We hope to build on that and do this at a really bigger scale. These sort of interventions that I mentioned actually did move the needle a little bit on our rice self-sufficiency. The year where we saw a 22% jump in rice production. I think these interventions have laid the groundwork for what we really want to do in the Feed Salon program. I must also say, as we were doing all those things, we were very much aware of the institutions that were key and crucial for what we wanted to do. So we renewed the Slurry Act that got passed in Parliament, and very soon the President will accept that. We've got a new DG and a chairman for Slurry, and when the President accepts that bill, I will be sitting with the DG Slurry to work on implementing those changes that are there. Let me quickly, because I have the opportunity to just highlight some of what we're thinking in the Feed Salon program. We're talking about it. We're in the middle of developing this now, very much in the middle of it. They're very ambitious but targeted set of objectives and interventions that will help us transform and boost productivity in the space. So to reduce importation, there is a key focus on rice, onions, poultry, and flour. For export earnings, we will target cocoa and cashew, and to some extent, coffee. There's a play there. Obviously, we want to increase earnings for women and youth, so horticulture and livestock will play a big part. And the latest WFP numbers will tell us we've got very chronic rates of malnutrition among children, and so we will focus on our roots and tubers and pulses for reducing that. We will develop targeted initiatives under these objectives around mechanization and irrigation, research and input systems, agriculture financing, agriculture technologies and climate smart agriculture. We'll focus on aggregation and marketing, and we'll build resilience by engaging women and youth in the space. Seeds are a key and a core part, as everybody said, of our input systems work that we're going to do, which is why this summit, themed Build and Road, the roadmap for seed sector transformation in Sierra Leone, is so very important and very timely. So the experts tell me, let's take rice, that for the most part, farmers are using grains now for rice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I'm hearing. This is when I've had conversations with the people here. They're getting yields from, well, first of all, we're not very clear on where the yields are. We need to fix that. But the yields, they say, range from 1.1 to maybe 3 tons or so if you are in the most ideal scenario. But really, we're averaging 1.7. This is a far cry from even those improved varieties that we have, which is the Rock and America series, that can get you 4 or 5. It's a far cry from that potential. But better yet, there are hybrid seeds that we can use that can give us 10, 12 tons per hectare. My question is, why not? Why don't we use those? I think for year after year, we have these varieties. We have not been able to build a system, a pipeline to continually feed seeds to smallholder farmers. Our breeding has been seen is weak, foundation. We've made quite a lot of efforts in our certification process through the establishment of SLESCA. But what comes before that needs to also pick up for the system to truly have a real steady pipeline where farmers can have every year clean seeds for rice instead of grains. Our play in poultry, as I mentioned, is really around feed. The poultry farmers tell me that between 80 to 90% of their cost is in feed, and they import this stuff. And what is feed? This is maize, soya, and a few other things. We can grow that here. They go to Guinea and or neighboring countries to import that. As has been said already, we've done quite well in cassava, in fact, when it comes to yield. I think where we need to be better is building businesses around this, making sure smallholder farmers are accessing these very good varieties that have come out. And because we've got climate change at our doorstep, we need to keep moving and keep innovating. So those drought-tolerant varieties, those nutrient-rich and nutrient-loaded varieties that are going to solve a number of our problems. I think for the cassava space, I think that's where we need to be headed. And ones that are market-ready for cassava flour and all these things, I think that's the knowledge, that's the direction we need to be taking. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is a very timely summit because when the organizers told me, I said, well, this is good because I was told you're going to be here for 3 or 4 days. So in those days, we should have a roadmap and a set of programs and interventions that I'm going to take and put in the Feed Talon program. That's what we're working on. So Dr. Dixon there promised me nobody's leaving until we do that. So I said, thank you. Yes. Let me also quickly say at this stage that partnership is very crucial for what we intend to do in the Feed Talon program. I'm very delighted to see all the range of partners here, the 1TG, the Agra researchers, private sector farmers, government, NGOs, everybody. This group in this room knows that agriculture and the agri-food system is a value chain, and we are only as strong as our weakest link. So let's identify that weak link and fix it. The Feed Talon program would emphasize the role of the private sector at every level of it. I really like the example with the basic seeds model that Lauren so nicely described, where everybody in the chain is making money because it's business for them. The farmers are the core of it. We hope to replicate that in Sierra Leone. We think the combination of that efficiency and that drive that come with the private sector, with the numbers that smallholder farmers bring, is where the sweet spot is where we're going to be able to transform the sector. So there's a proverb we say on the continent, which is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, I do like this saying, but President Bio wants us to go fast too. The moment demands that we go fast also. So we're going to go together, but we're going to go fast. There's a range of us in the room. We've got things that we can contribute. It's really good to hear all the range of things that are happening in Sierra Leone. I want us to use this moment to say, let's take a stock what we've done. This is the vision that the president has laid out. What can we do next? Let's put that on paper. With seeds, let's say, for this year, what are we going to do in these value chains that we've looked at? and next year, and the next 5 and so years. Really concrete steps. That's the only way we're going to be able to move this. Let's leverage on our expertise, the strengths that we bring to be able to achieve that. So let me state my commitment and that of His Excellency President Bios to this work that you're doing and for transforming the sector. It's truly my hope that by the time you leave here, we can have some concrete steps that come out of this program. My role will be to take that, coalesce our partners that are in the room and outside, make sure we get finances, and make sure we do that. Because with the expertise in the room, I'm definitely convinced that whatever we come up with is going to be something that will make a difference for us if we do them. So I do want to thank the organizers for holding this event here today. I think for me, this is a little over a month in this role now to be able to have the foremost partners and experts in the room on these. It's a big honor to be able to be here. Let us work together. My door is always open. We've got, Gates Foundation is a big funder. So let's be bold. Let's come up with these plans. Let's come up with initiatives that we're going to do. They're very excited, the Gates Foundation. What Lawrence mentioned to say, he's my colleague, my senior colleague at the Gates Foundation. So when I went to 2 weeks ago in Dar es Salaam, engaged across the board, a number of them. So more of them will come. So this is seeds today, but let's connect them. Let's connect these systems. Let's be bold. I think I was in Dar, the IITA DG says, let's do the work. Let's come up with the plans and the monies will come. So let's come up with the big plans, the bold plans, and the monies will come. With those words, it is my pleasure to formally declare the Seeds Business Summit officially open. And I thank you for your attention.
Let's keep clapping for the Honorable Minister. May we be seated. Quite inspiring, and I don't need to go back to all that he said, but I think one of the take-home messages is that, look, we are as strong as a weak link. Let us identify it in this business summit and fix it. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let me invite Abdullahi Jallo, the DG Slurry, to come and give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Godwin. Mr. Minister, the Deputy Minister, the Permanent Secretary, I wish to stand on existing protocols. I was last in this hall to perform an official ceremony about 20 years ago. That was in 2003 when the late president was launching the right to food after he pledged that he would do everything in his power to let no children go hungry. It's a huge honor for me. Then I was master of ceremony. But now I think I'm very, very pleased to take the position to come and thank people who have gathered here today for this very, very important occasion. And I think, Mr. Minister, for me, being outside, you may have had other functions, but I think philosophically this is the start of your term as a minister. Everybody has said the seed is the beginning of everything, and I think you are going to start on a very good footing. So having said that, I want to really, first of all, thank His Excellency the President
for appointing me as Director General of SLARI, because I'm here in my capacity of as DG of SLARI. If he had not appointed me, I wouldn't be here. And in that regard, I also want to thank the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Madam Tene, and the Permanent Secretary, who were very, very instrumental in letting me come to take up this position. So, Mr. Minister, please extend my thanks to the Minister, to His Excellency the President. Of course, the next is you. We want to thank you. I won't say for having your busy schedule to come here. I would say professionally for prioritizing to be here with us, because this is your job. And we are very happy you have identified this forum. You've met people, you've identified people who will work and make things happen. And you want, at the end of the day, we deliver what we need to deliver and make the right input into the feed salon strategy. I want to pledge that you have our support. We then want to thank everybody, because I don't want to make a mistake. That who have I left out? I'll first of all thank everybody who is here. I see I've also been slated to give the vote of thanks at the end of this workshop. I'm very happy to do that. But for now, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I hope you will put in all your efforts to make sure that we have the desired output. I want to thank the organizations that have been here, the Bill and Melinda Gates, AGRA, TAAT, my colleagues, the AFDB, Martin spoke via Zoom, the ISDB, USAID, and all partners that have pledged to support this initiative. I want to thank the farmers, through Madam. I remember Madam, during that era, we made a trip to, is it Mozambique? Mozambique, the right to food. So having you at the helm of the Farmers Federation, I am hopeful that we will move. So please convey our thanks to the farmers, who, like Ken said, are the owners of this business here. I want to thank IITA. IITA is my alma mater. I've been with them for long. They brought me up with Dr. Dixon there, and I'm happy they are leading this. And my colleague, Professor Sani Abbas, is there in the crowd. Anes, he was recently with me about a couple of months ago. Now he's with IITA again. These things happen. I wish you good luck. And please extend our thanks to Simeon for all the support that he's given us. I want to give a special thanks to my DG, Dr. Babu Kamane, who is the son of Israel. Like he said, he studied here at Jala. But for two good reasons. I'm currently the Director of Research and Innovation at Africa Rice. And when I was appointed, I told him, he was very happy. And he pledged that I told him, Rokopo, incidentally, Mr. Minister, was identified as the National Center of Specialization for Mangrove Rice. And it's supposed to have moved to a regional center of specialization and a regional center of excellence, but it has not. But I'm sure with you there now, and Babuka has pledged that, because since it is rice, it's mangrove rice, he will do everything in his power to make sure that we advance from a national center to a regional center of excellence. And incidentally, it is under me. So that is one of my pledge. The second one is that I'm still working for Africa Rights, but I took up appointments in June. I'm working sort of like full-time. I think on behalf of the Minister, Dr. Babuka, I want to thank you for paying my salary. I'm not being paid by the government of Sierra Leone. Africa Rights is still paying me, and they are allowing me to do work for salary. The whole of June, I was here for 1 month, and I'm here again for another 1 month to continue pursue the establishment of salary, and I will go for a couple of weeks and then return. So I think the country owes you a big thank you for allowing me to work for Sierra Leone. I will now want to thank, since this is just the beginning, let's have major thanks. And I will have the opportunity to thank you wholeheartedly when we finish. But for now, I think the people who are organizing have done a very good job to have us here. They've set the stage, and I hope we will all be able to deliver what we have. And of course, the press as well. I think I want to thank you. We are all in this together. The way you portray the story, that is how people will get it out there. So, with those, I want to thank everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Abdullahi Jallo. Next, we just some few announcements. So Atai will lead members of the high table for a group photo outside. Atai, where are you? Yeah, Atai is at the door, so please can you lead members of the high table out for a group photo.